I'm Michael, and welcome to another meaningful moment. You never know who's watching you. I don't mean while in the spotlight or accepting applause or perhaps an award from your peers, but in the quiet, in the moments when you think no one is seeing you trying or sees you choosing to show up, or when you're holding it together when everything inside says fall apart. But someone is. Someone is watching, not with the eye of a critic or with judgment, but with hope. Watching how you carry yourself through the hardest days. Watching how you create beauty in places that weren't necessarily built for it. Watching how you keep going, even when the world gives you every reason not to. And here's the part that's hard to fathom. You just might be someone's proof. Proof that quiet courage exists, that creativity can survive in hard places, and proof that dignity doesn't need permission. It's not a role you auditioned for or a title you asked for, but it's real and it's sacred. Because when you choose compassion over comfort, presence over protection, or when you choose to reach out instead of pulling back, you leave behind more than a moment. You leave behind a map. A map for someone who may still be lost. A lifeline for someone who's still deciding whether to continue to try or not. And that's where we begin today. Let me tell you about a young woman named Amira El-Masri. She didn't set out to be a hero. She actually set out to make art. But in doing so, she became proof. Proof to people who felt invisible. Proof that healing, connection, and belonging are all possible. Cairo, Egypt was way too quiet and in the wrong ways. The pandemic had emptied the streets, but not the fear, the isolation, and the silence that settled over the refugee communities tucked into the margins of the city, where there were stories buried deep beneath the need for survival and voices that were lost in quiet uncertainty. Amira El-Masri was just 22. She was a student and an artist, not a policymaker or a doctor, but she saw what others didn't, the emotional erosion happening in plain sight. Sudanese refugees, children, parents, elders, all living in limbo, displaced not just from their homes, but from their sense of self. Amira knew she couldn't fix everything, but she knew that she could offer something. So she walked into a refugee center with a sack full of paintbrushes, paint, and paper, and one question: what if art could be a lifeline? She called it Art for All. There were no fees, no prerequisites, just a space to color, write, draw, and an invitation to tell your story without needing to explain your pain. At first, the room was quiet, pretty suspicious, and guarded. But then a boy began painting a boat, and a little girl started painting a memory that she'd had, and a mother wrote down a prayer. Slowly, the silence was broken. Canvas by canvas, people began to reclaim their voice. They painted grief and hope and the parts of themselves that had been told to disappear. Amira wasn't just teaching or offering art. She was building a bridge, a place where dignity didn't need documentation, where healing didn't require permission, and where being seen and heard was no longer conditional. She partnered with local artists and stretched every resource she had available to her. She kept showing up, even when the center couldn't afford electricity and when the city shut down. She even showed up when her own future felt uncertain. The impact that began as a trickle became a roaring river of emotions and hope. Her work was recognized by the Young Changemakers' transformative journey, and Art for All began expanding across Cairo, reaching more communities, more stories, and more lives. But Amira never made it about herself. She was never the center of all this. She let the art and the voices behind it speak for themselves. She let the people speak. She let the visual proof of pain and possibility create a voice of unity. Because that's what courage does. It doesn't demand attention. It creates space where expression fills a once empty void. And Amir's story reminds us you don't have to be extraordinary to be meaningful. You just have to be willing. Willing to show up, willing to reach out, and willing to be someone's proof. Amira didn't wait for credentials. She didn't ask for applause. She simply saw pain, and she chose to meet it with her presence. She didn't rescue anyone. She reminded them all that they were still here, still whole, still worthy of being seen, and that's the kind of journey and courage that leaves a mark. So if you're wondering whether your small acts matter, they do. If you're questioning whether your quiet persistence is enough, it is. Because someone out there is tracing your steps, and they're not there to follow you, but to find themselves. You may never know their names, you may never hear their thanks, but your life lived with intention is already echoing in places that you can't see. So before I close this meaningful moment, I want to leave you with 3 things. Number 1, ask yourself, how might I put this message of being someone's proof into action this week? What part of my story could be proof for someone else? Second, if this episode moved you, please like and follow my YouTube channel. It helps me know that these words I share are reaching the people who need them. Third, if you'd like a list of 10 ways to be someone's proof, just reach out through my email at michaelddavis@mdddastudio.com, and I'll be happy to send you a copy your way. Finally, and as always, I'm Michael from the Davis Arts Legacy, and my purpose is helping you elevate your purpose to the highest level.